The beginning of Lent in Jerusalem, Ash Wednesday in the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre and at St Saviour's with many young people of the Latin Parish. Applause from political and civilian leaders in Israel for the Pope's new book, the second volume of Jesus of Nazareth, which considers the passion and resurrection of Christ. Faith and commitment for peace. The Chilean President, Sebastián Piñera, visits the Holy Land. On March the 6th in Jerusalem, Israeli and Palestinian women united, strong and courageous mothers who seek a better future for this land and especially for their children, an initiative now supported by the Municipality of Jerusalem. www.custodia.org. This week, the new website of the Custody of the Holy Land came online, a portal which offers many facilities for pilgrims. A morning dawns like any other at the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre. Yet today is Ash Wednesday, and here the beginning of Lent takes on a special intensity, for this is the place of the mystery of Easter, for which we prepare in the following weeks. Furthermore, Lent in Jerusalem is characterized by special liturgical celebrations at holy places, and in particular here at the Basilica. It was with a Mass and the imposition of ashes that the path towards Easter began, and many attended, together with Franciscan friars, who traditionally celebrate Mass at 6:30 in front of the empty tomb, were local Christians and religious who live in Jerusalem, as well as many pilgrims. Meanwhile, Coptic Christians prayed at their altar behind the tomb, for this year Lent started simultaneously for them too, as it did for all Orthodox Christians. And so, unusually this year, Easter will be celebrated by each Christian community on the same day. Ash Wednesday was also celebrated not far from the Basilica in the Franciscan Latin Parish Church of St Saviour, where the congregation included children from the Terra school. Because this involved an unusually large gathering, 2 celebrations were organised, and the first of these was presided over at 8 in the morning by Friar Ibrahim Faltas, the custody bursar. Local Christians, including children, are deeply conscious of Lent and make sure to be present at the most important of the ceremonies during this emotional period of the ecclesiastical year. The children are well prepared in the spirit of Lent, aware that to participate requires works of mercy, prayer, charity and fasting.
We have to confess our sins and pray. Lent is not only a matter of fasting, it is also doing good works, not speaking badly of others, but loving.
The students are invited to do specific things.
It is good to live Lent here in the land of Jesus. Each year we pray and also help families, for example through money, which we make through selling chocolate, and we bring items to the poor who do not have food.
While one group of students leaves the church, another arrives for the second celebration at 9, presided over by Father Ferras, parish priest of St Saviour's.
Lent is a time of a conversion to which we are all called, and it was from here in Jerusalem that the message of salvation was proclaimed and spread throughout the world. Yet we too, at the Mother Parish in Jerusalem, need the prayers and support of other churches. The Pope's latest book on Jesus of Nazareth has been enthusiastically received by the Israeli public. Now available in bookshops, it exonerates the Jewish people from the charge of deicide. Congratulations were sent to His Holiness by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and expressed by many other civil notables. Was this a step forward in dialogue and reconciliation between Christians and Jews? We asked biblical scholar Friar Massimo Pazzini, a professor at the Studium Biblicum Franciscanum.
I don't think we can say it's a major step forward. We're talking about dialogue, yet repeating points that have already been repeated. The Pope hasn't said anything new, but he's rather crystallized the official position of the Church as adopted at the Second Vatican Council, namely that the Jewish people as a whole are not directly responsible for the death of Jesus. The Pope said that the religious authorities had their share in the condemnation of Jesus, and this is an established fact. It would be good to see how the associations responsible for dialogue react, and especially that of the Jerusalem Rabbinate, to see how they react to the Pope's words, because in the final analysis, we need to see if they are interpreted negatively by those in the religious aristocracy of the Jewish world, that is to say, by those who guide the practicing Jews of Israel and those throughout the world.
To those who continue to speak of Christian anti-Semitism, Father Pazzini said that this is something that still has to be addressed. Christians were often persecuted by Jews, he continues, and this provoked reactions, and we must not confuse history with theology.
Who condemned Jesus? This is still something of a mystery. Speaking theologically, we could say that it was the will of God, but if we rely on available sources, we have to conclude that it involved a combination of causes. We could say that without Pilate, the Jews would not have condemned Jesus, and that Pilate, without the contribution of the Jews, would not have condemned Jesus. I therefore believe that there are various factors which combine and which are used to blame and to retaliate, but this is another matter, to be discussed elsewhere and at another time.
Beyond saying yes but, an indisputable fact remains, namely the preparedness of the Pope to carry on a dialogue with everyone, in the certainty that faith in the one God can light the way for all men. For this alone, thanks are due to His Holiness. A scheduled visit quite unconnected with the recent pilgrimage of the Chilean miners. Last week the Chilean President visited Israel and the Palestinian territories. Shortly before he arrived at the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre, we were able to greet Miguel Juan Sebastián Piñera and his wife Cecilia. Inside the Basilica, the presidential party climbed the stairway that leads to Calvary, a poignant moment in prayer where the Son of Man died on a cross. Accompanied by a Chilean Franciscan friar, the president listened attentively to the story behind the Holy Sepulchre, related in their native language. And the Franciscans had prepared locally made gifts, in mother of pearl for the presidential couple, a crucifix and a rosary. If the visit was one of the many which are made daily at the holy places, a head of state represents his people. And so we asked how important the protection and accessibility of the holy place were for Chileans.
Have a very deep meaning.
The holy places have a very deep meaning for us. They are the places where Christ lived and died, and we are Christians. So for us the meaning is extremely sensitive and emotional, and at the same time it has to do with our faith. So we are very concerned that these holy places should always not only be protected, but at the same time available.
Given that Chile has some 350,000 Palestinian immigrants and a Jewish community of about 25,000, were there groups in Chile, religious or otherwise, we wondered, which might be able to make a contribution to the peace process in the Middle East by way of support and encouragement?
Of course. The peace process
is important not only for the Israelis and the Palestinians, it's important for all men and women of good faith. And that is why in Chile we're trying to collaborate in order to guarantee that this peace process will have a happy ending and will finally reach an agreement which will allow both peoples, Israelis and Palestinians, to live together in peace and in safety.
Perhaps it goes without saying that the President would visit Bethlehem, and at the Basilica of the Nativity, Señor and Señora Piñera were given a likeness of the infant Christ, which will be placed in the chapel of La Moneda, the official residence of the Presidents of Chile. In the adjoining Franciscan Friary Church of St. Catherine, Friar Stefan Milovic, the Friary Superior, gave the President a pilgrim's medal. Another important appointment in Bethlehem was the President's visit to a future pediatric surgery unit, where he met William Schomely, the Auxiliary Bishop of Jerusalem. We ask you to convey greetings to all Palestinians who have emigrated to Chile, he said. They have become 100% Chilean, but they have not forgotten their roots. For his part, the President assured everyone of his support for the hospital project through the sending of Chilean doctors to Bethlehem.
Israeli and Palestinian women unite to celebrate Women's Day. And here in Jerusalem it has a particular expression, for it is not one of protest nor of demands for gender equality. It is one, we believe, that is an example to follow, and one which has a message for everyone. The rendezvous is at Jaffa Gate, where a group of Jewish women from different parts of Israel as well as Jerusalem walk alongside the city's walls, heading for Herod's Gate, the entrance to the Muslim quarter in the Old City. Here they are greeted with smiles and Arab food prepared by a sizable group of Palestinian women. This is not something to take for granted in a city where everything is divided because of the conflict which has created and continues to create prejudice and distrust. The promoter of this initiative, sponsored for the first time this year by the Municipality of Jerusalem, is Israeli Devora Perlman.
The situation is not concretely about women. It's there is a lot of the old way that is very strong here in the old city, and this is what we are promoting: a new way, and instead of the old way of separating, the new way of unification. How and when it will happen? I hope it will happen today.
Hello, yeah, it's been a while.
These scenes show us that all went well, that there was a will to meet, to stay together and to know each other even better, notwithstanding differences in culture and language. A beautiful day in particular because we are Israeli and Arab women, and it is a good thing to stay together.
To live in conflict, this is very, very good to be together. Woman, just woman can doing this, just woman.
And today, wow, it's so amazing. There is more Palestinian women than Israelis. The Israelis women that so many years that try and create this peace process, they got tired. They got tired on the way to the mountain to achieve this goal of peace. And today it's a miracle, and I feel it's something new happening here now.
The day's program, walking together through the narrow streets of the old city and visiting the city's museums. Without doing anything especially dramatic, these women of today's Jerusalem have demonstrated a new way, convinced that peace comes from the heart, and most of all from the hearts of women. These strong and courageous mothers are seeking a better future for this land and its children.
To say that my son now is 18 years old, is about to get to the army. And since he was a little boy, since he was 2 years old, when I sent him to the kindergarten, I was hugging him and telling him every hug a day will bring a peace. And today I told him, Tomer, I'm going there for you because I want to bring this peace for you.
We hope that the people of this land and of this city may one day resemble these women.
The new portal of the Custody of the Holy Land is now online. It can be visited at www.custodia.org and has a completely new design plus revolutionary new content. Heading a team, Manuela Compri is responsible for the technical side, following, as she says, in the footsteps of her predecessors who contributed to the portal's construction. There are many new features, for example, a space entirely dedicated to pilgrimages and to all of the Holy Land sanctuaries, as well as much more information on the Franciscans in general, and the custody in particular. There is also a facility for downloading the content to an iPod or iPhone.
We wanted to add some more videos and new texts by editing all the texts that were on the old website. This is to give the pilgrim the possibility to find new texts, but also more information. There will be a section dedicated to the pilgrim. In that section, he will find out how to look for accommodation or how to get to different sanctuaries. In itself, the site provides various stages. The first phase foresees publishing the institutional site of the Custody of the Holy Land. In a second phase, the sanctuaries will be described. And then in a third phase, there will be additional information which we want to communicate to people, and especially to pilgrims who come here to the Holy Land.
Following the example of Christ, the perfect communicator, in combining content with presentation.